Hello and welcome to Designer Discussions with Jason, Miriam, and Maria. Today we're talking about creating better work experiences with Dr. Katie Thomas.
Welcome to the Designer Discussions podcast with
Jason,
Miriam,
and Maria, where we talk about marketing, PR, and business advice for design professionals.
So our guest today is someone who knows this subject inside and out. Dr. Katie Thomas, PhD, is an organizational psychologist with over 20 years of experience consulting for corporations and coaching executives. She's the founder of Better Work Experience, a platform focused on helping companies create cohesive cultures and improve performance through leadership development and team alignment. Welcome, Dr. Katie. I'm very excited to have you. This brings me back to my corporate days almost. So let's talk about this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Talk about something that's so crucial to the success of any size organization.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, Dr. Katie, you've spent more than 2 decades working with leaders and teams. Let's start with leadership development. In today's fast-paced world where there's constant change and disruption, why is leadership more important than ever?
Oh, that's a great question, Miriam. Leadership, it's really the anchor that holds the team steady through uncertainty. Today's leaders are navigating challenges like economic instability, technological disruption, and evolving work cultures like navigating generational diversity. It's no longer enough to manage the day-to-day operations. Leaders need to be adaptable. They need to inspire innovation and keep their teams aligned with the bigger picture. The leadership development is the key because it helps leaders become self-aware, understand the impact they have on others, and build the trust needed to lead effectively. The stronger the leader, the more resilient the team.
That makes so much sense. And I have actually experienced this more than once in my personal career during my corporate days. You mentioned self-awareness. How do you help leaders become more self-aware and attuned to the needs of their teams?
Yeah, well, one way is through assessments and coaching. So we dig deep into their strengths, their challenges, and how they're perceived by their teams. Often leaders are unaware of certain blind spots, and by bringing those to light, we can work on strategies to improve communication, build trust, and ultimately enhance team performance. It's about helping leaders be intentional with their actions and helping them foster environments where their teams can thrive.
I love that. Speaking about teams, let's talk about team dynamics. You've mentioned in the past that even a group of talented people can struggle if the dynamics aren't right. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. A high-performing team isn't just a collection of talented individuals. It's a cohesive unit. Okay, that means everyone understands their role, communicates effectively, and works toward a common goal. Though many times teams struggle because of hidden dynamics like unresolved conflict, lack of trust, or unclear expectations. And my work focuses on identifying those underlying issues, whether it's through team workshops or one-on-one coaching. Once we address them, teams can unlock their potential and collaborate more effectively.
That's really interesting. And so, of course, me and all our listeners are wondering, how do you help teams uncover these hidden issues?
Well, we use a mix of diagnostics, such as team building exercises and open dialogues. Like, for example, we might conduct a session where team members talk about what's working well and what's not. Um, I do this one exercise with clients often. It's called stop, start, and continue. It's really just a way to get things out in the open. And just giving them the space to have those conversations opens the door to uncovering what's really going on beneath the surface. And once we identify the root causes of dysfunction, we can work on building trust, setting clear roles, and ensure everyone is aligned on goals.
Yeah, it really sounds like alignment is key. But how does that tie into employee engagement? Because we know that engaged employees are obviously more productive and loyal, but engagement doesn't just happen. What's your approach to driving engagement within companies?
Yeah, and this one is actually my favorite because engagement is all about connection, really like human connection. Employees need to feel connected to their work, their team, the overall mission of the company, especially our generation, our millennial generation, right? My approach focuses on creating environments where employees feel valued, they feel heard, they feel empowered to grow. And that could mean giving them more autonomy in decision making, or offering opportunities for professional development, or even simply recognizing their contributions regularly. I mean, leaders play such a huge role in this. And when leaders are transparent, they communicate well and provide clear expectations, employees are more likely to feel invested in their work.
Yeah, that's so true. So it's really not just about offering perks and bonuses to your people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Well, perks are nice. They don't drive
Mhm.
deep engagement. What really matters is how employees feel about their role and the company. Do they see a future for themselves there? Do they feel like their work is making a difference? When employees are emotionally connected to their work, they are more engaged, productive, and likely stay with the company a long time. And right about here, I like to tell a story. If you just close your eyes for a minute, and I'm going to tell you a story of three Masons. Imagine you're walking down the street and you see three Masons working, and you ask the first one, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm laying bricks." And you go to the second Mason and you say, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm building a wall." And you go to the third Mason and you ask, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm building a cathedral." Okay, see, they're all doing the same work, but they're connecting differently to their why and then what is it that they're doing. And more today, the workforce needs to be that third Mason. Like they need to know, what is this cathedral I'm building? They're just grasping for that connection to that bigger purpose. And it's a leader's responsibility to make that connection.
Yeah, I love that perspective. And it definitely doesn't always happen in every organization you work for. It's probably the minority. So really glad there's people like you. Now you've worked with countless organizations. What's one key thing you've seen that can quickly shift employee engagement or team performance? And I assume this applies to organizations of any size, right? Regardless of whether you have 5 employees or 500.
Absolutely, yeah, or 5,000 or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the quickest ways to shift things is by focusing on leadership alignment and clarity of purpose. So when the leaders at the top, no matter the size of the organization, when those leaders are clear about the direction they want to take and they communicate that vision effectively, it trickles down the entire organization. People feel more connected to the mission and they're more motivated to contribute. Conversely, when there's confusion or mixed messages from leadership, engagement drops quickly. So, the quickest way is to gather your leaders together, well, whether it be a mom and pop shop running a small business or a CEO and their top leadership team, running a tech company or a startup. Get everybody together and really aligned and get clarity of purpose and what are the things everyone's doing to make that reality come to fruition.
Yeah, that really is such a critical point. So, Dr. Katie, for any of our listeners who are leaders in their own organizations, what is one actionable step they can take today to start improving their teams?
Right. One immediate step
Mm.
is to ask for feedback. I mean, real honest feedback from your team. Find a way to create a safe space where your team members feel comfortable sharing thoughts. Ask them about the challenges they're facing and what can be improved. You can use something from my playbook, which is a stop, start, and continue. That's very simple. You can create a safe space. Maybe you have a conference room or take everybody out to a meal or something. What should we stop doing? What should we start doing? And what should we continue doing? I mean, it's a really powerful way to build trust and uncover areas where you can make quick improvements. But the critical part of this is that once you gathered the feedback, you have to act on it, right? You have to show your team that you value their input and are committed to making a positive change. So don't let it go flat and not act on it. You have to really act on it if you choose to get that feedback.
Yeah, that's such practical advice. And, you really have to walk the talk and not just talk it. And I think that's a big challenge in many places that I've worked for directly or in companies that I consult with now. So I really appreciate that feedback. And hopefully for companies that are a little bit smaller, that can be a little bit easier, would you say? Right.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I worked for a small company very early in my career. And one of the ways that management decided to get feedback from us was they actually put a feedback box. So they could collect anonymous, or people could put their name on them, feedback into a box, and they would review at the staff meeting what was in there. And that kind of put the fire to leaders to be able to respond to things in the moment. So that's another way, if you don't think you can facilitate the conversation yourself, you can bring someone in, like myself, who's an organizational psychologist or consultant, or you can simply put a feedback or suggestion box out and see what you get.
I love this piece of practical advice, and I think our listeners can really take that and apply it right away. That's great. So, Dr. Katie, as we start to wrap up, what is the core message you want leaders and executives to take away from this conversation?
Really, the core message, Miriam, is that, leadership, team dynamics, and engagement, they're all interconnected. I have a deep understanding of how they're interconnected, but in simple terms, really, to build a resilient, high-performing organization, you need strong leaders who know how to foster trust with employees. You need teams that are aligned around your mission, your goals, your objectives. And really, that is going to help bring a cohesive experience to your teams and how everybody operates together. And employees will be truly engaged when you can link those things together. And when you focus on these areas, you'll ultimately create a culture where people feel empowered, they feel valued, and they're motivated to do their best work. And then simply is just going to work on its own after that, with some regular maintenance, of course.
Yes, absolutely. No, I love this topic. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today, Dr. Katie. I appreciate it. It's a little bit out of the norm of what we normally talk about, but I think it's a really important topic. So for anybody who's listening who wants to learn more about your work and the Better Work Experience platform, tell us where they can go. We'll also put the links in the show notes, but just tell us where they can learn more about you and the work you do.
Sure. Yeah, you can visit my website, www.betterworkexperience.com. And I also have a presence on LinkedIn, which, it's easy to find me on there. I'm always commenting on somebody's crazy post about workplace culture or team dynamics. But yeah, those are the two main places. I'm also on Facebook, Dr. Katie, and Instagram as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Katie. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks everybody for listening. And please come listen to our next episode, which is going to be out in 2 weeks.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed the conversation.
Did you know that your client learns 80% of what they will know about you before they ever contact you? Now imagine when your potential client searches for the perfect kitchen remodel. Will they find you or your competition? We can help you make sure it's you. Our Designer Discussions Academy membership with your favorite podcast hosts provide weekly steps to simplify your marketing and boost your business. Sign up at designerdiscussions.com or follow the link in the show notes. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Designer Discussions and all of the helpful information. Subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and share it with your friends. We look forward to having you back next week. For more information on the podcast and the marketing studio, visit designerdiscussions.com and follow us on social media.